I'm sitting in a conference room that I designed. The chairs? I picked them. The whiteboard on the wall? I hung it myself at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday because we couldn't afford to hire someone. The company logo etched into the glass door? I sketched that on a napkin at a dive bar 5 years ago. And the woman sitting across from me, flanked by 2 lawyers I've never seen before, is about to fire me from the company I built. Her name is Sarah. We've been best friends since we were 14 years old. We started this company together in her parents' garage with $3,000 between us, a dream, and the kind of naive optimism that only comes from not knowing how badly things can go wrong. Today, she won't look me in the eye. Maya, one of the lawyers begins, sliding a folder across the table. We're here to discuss the restructuring of your role at Lighthouse Technologies. Restructuring. That's a beautiful word, isn't it? So clean. So corporate. It almost hides what's really happening. I look at Sarah. She's staring at a spot just above my left shoulder, her jaw tight, her hands folded perfectly on the table in front of her. She's wearing the blazer I bought her for her first investor pitch. I remember how nervous she was that day, how I stood in the bathroom with her for 20 minutes while she practiced her opening line over and over. Sarah, I say quietly. Can you look at me? She doesn't. The lawyer continues. As you know, the company has experienced significant growth over the past 18 months. With that growth comes the need for a more experienced leadership structure. Experienced. There it is. The knife, wrapped in silk. I built the technology that this company is built on. I wrote the first 50,000 lines of code. I was the one who stayed up for 72 hours straight when our servers crashed 3 days before our Series A pitch. I was the one who mortgaged my apartment, the only thing I owned, to keep the lights on when we couldn't make payroll. But I don't have an MBA from Stanford. I don't have a pedigree. I have a computer science degree from a state school and calloused fingers from years of typing and a brain that sees solutions where other people see problems. Sarah has the MBA. Sarah has the connections. Sarah's parents are venture capitalists who opened doors I didn't even know existed. And now, apparently, Sarah has decided she doesn't need me anymore. What exactly does restructuring mean? I ask, even though I already know. I can feel it in the air, heavy and suffocating. The second lawyer, a woman with sharp features and sharper eyes, speaks up. We're offering you a generous severance package. 6 months salary, health insurance through the end of the year, and accelerated vesting on 20% of your equity. 20%. I own 49% of this company. Sarah owns 51%. We agreed on that split years ago, back when we were still naive enough to think that 1% wouldn't matter, that we'd always be on the same side, that friendship was stronger than business. How fucking stupid I was. You can't do this, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. My contract. Your contract has a clause regarding performance standards and fiduciary responsibility, the first lawyer interrupts smoothly. The board has determined that recent decisions you've made have not been in the best interest of the company's growth trajectory. The board. That's rich. The board consists of Sarah, her father, and 2 investors who've known Sarah since she was in diapers. I'm not on the board. I was never on the board, even though I asked to be, even though Sarah promised we'd fix that eventually. Eventually never came. What decisions? I demand, looking directly at Sarah now. Sarah, what decisions are they talking about? She finally meets my eyes, and for just a moment, I see something flicker there. Guilt? Regret? But then it's gone, replaced by something cold and distant. You've been resistant to scaling, she says quietly. You won't hire the people we need. You keep insisting on doing everything yourself. You're slowing us down, Maya. I feel like I've been slapped. I'm resistant to scaling because you want to hire people who don't understand what we built. My voice is rising now, and I don't care. You want to bring in some COO who worked at Google and thinks he can just apply the same formula here. This isn't Google, Sarah. This is our company. This is something we made from nothing, and you want to hand it over to people who see it as just another line on their resume. That's exactly the problem, she says, and now there's an edge to her voice. You can't see past the garage anymore. You're still coding like we're a startup. We're not a startup, Maya. We have 63 employees. We have clients in 12 countries. We have responsibilities that are bigger than your ego. My ego. I want to laugh. I want to scream. I want to flip this table over and watch the carefully organized papers scatter across the floor. Instead, I look down at the folder in front of me. The severance package. The exit agreement. The non-compete clause that would prevent me from working in my own industry for 2 years. They've thought of everything. I need time to think, I say. You have 24 hours, the female lawyer responds. If you don't sign by noon tomorrow, we'll be forced to pursue termination for cause, which would nullify your severance and complicate your equity situation significantly. It's a threat. A clean, legal, perfectly executed threat. I stand up. My legs feel like water, but I manage to stay upright. Sarah, I say one last time. We were best friends. She looks at me, and for just a second, her mask slips. I see the girl I stayed up with until dawn, talking about changing the world. The girl who cried on my shoulder when her grandmother died. The girl who was my maid of honor at my wedding, who held my hand in the hospital when I miscarried, who knew every single one of my fears and dreams and secrets. I know, she whispers. But this is business, Maya. This isn't personal. I pick up the folder and walk out. Behind me, I hear one of the lawyers say something to Sarah, and I hear her laugh. It's a small laugh, relieved, like she's just dodged a bullet. I keep walking. Let me take you back. 5 years ago, I was working as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company that made inventory management software for retail chains. It was fine. It paid the bills. It was so boring I wanted to claw my eyes out every single morning. Sarah was working in business development at a startup that had just been acquired. She hated it. Her new bosses were the kind of men who interrupted her in meetings and then repeated her ideas 5 minutes later like they'd thought of them. We met for drinks one Thursday night at our usual spot, a dingy bar called the Lighthouse near my apartment. The beer was cheap and the lighting was terrible, and we'd been going there since college. I can't do this anymore, Sarah said, already on her second gin and tonic. I can't sit in another meeting where some mediocre man explains my own strategy back to me like I'm stupid. Quit, I said. She laughed. And do what? I have rent. I have student loans. I have. Build something with me. The words came out before I'd fully formed the thought. But once they were out there, hanging in the air between us, they felt right. Sarah stared at me. Build what? I pulled out my phone and showed her the side project I'd been working on for months. It was a platform for small businesses to manage their entire operation, inventory, scheduling, customer relationships, payments, all in one place, with an interface so intuitive your grandmother could use it. Every small business software is either too expensive or too complicated or both, I explained, talking faster as the idea took shape. Restaurant owners don't want to take a course to figure out how to track their inventory. Boutique owners don't want to hire an IT person to set up their point of sale. They want something simple. Something that just works. Sarah's eyes were bright now, the way they always got when she saw an opportunity. How much would something like this cost to build out properly? I've already built the core functionality. With $3,000, I could get us a decent server setup and basic security. We'd need to bootstrap everything else. I have 2,000 saved, she said immediately. You? 1,000. But I can get more. We clinked glasses. We filed the LLC paperwork that weekend. Lighthouse Technologies, named after that shitty bar where we'd made our decision. Sarah's parents let us use their garage, which was climate-controlled and bigger than my entire apartment. Her mom brought us sandwiches. Her dad gave us business advice that I was too naive to recognize as networking introductions disguised as mentorship. I coded 18 hours a day. Sarah built our brand, created our pitch deck, started reaching out to potential clients. We were a perfect team. I built it, she sold it. Our first client was a family-owned bakery in Oakland. They paid us $200 a month. I cried when they signed the contract. By month 6, we had 12 clients. By month 12, we had 48 clients and enough revenue to move into a real office, a cramped space above a dry cleaner that smelled like chemicals and had windows that didn't quite close. By month 18, we had 90 clients and Sarah was pitching to investors. That's when things started to change. Sarah came back from her first big investor meeting glowing. They love it, she said. They love the concept, they love the market opportunity, they love our growth metrics. But? I asked, because I could hear the but in her voice. But they want to see a more robust leadership team. They want to know we can scale. We're scaling fine, I said. We just hired 2 customer service reps and a junior developer. They mean executive leadership. They want to see someone with experience running a company at the next level. We don't need that, I argued. We're profitable. We're growing. Why do we need to give up equity to hire some executive who doesn't understand what we've built? Sarah sighed. Because that's how this works, Maya. If we want serious money, we need to show serious structure. We fought about it for weeks. Finally, we compromised. We'd take investor money, but we'd stay in control. We'd hire slowly, carefully, only bringing in people who understood our vision. The Series A was $4. $2 million. We were on the cover of a local tech magazine. Sarah's parents threw us a party at their country club. I felt like we'd made it. I was so fucking wrong. With money came pressure. The investors wanted growth. They wanted metrics. They wanted us to expand faster, hire bigger, scale wider. Sarah thrived in this environment. She loved the board meetings, the strategy sessions, the networking events. She was good at it. She could walk into a room full of suits and within 20 minutes have them eating out of her hand. I hated it. I wanted to build. I wanted to perfect the product. I wanted to talk to our clients and fix their problems and create features that actually mattered. You need to be more visible, Sarah told me after I skipped yet another investor dinner. They need to see you. You're the technical genius. I'm the business mind. We're a package deal. I don't want to be a package deal, I said. I want to write code. She laughed, but there was an edge to it. You can't just be a developer anymore, Maya. You're a co-founder. You have responsibilities. We started hiring. First, a VP of sales. Then a head of marketing. Then a VP of product. That last one was my breaking point. His name was Derek. He had 15 years of experience at companies I'd never heard of and an MBA from Wharton and an air of superiority that made my skin crawl. In our first product meeting, he said, I think we need to completely redesign the user interface. It's too simplistic. It doesn't signal enterprise quality. It's not supposed to signal enterprise quality, I said slowly. It's supposed to be simple. That's the entire point. Our clients are small business owners who don't have time to learn complicated software. Right, but if we want to move up market. We don't want to move up market. We want to serve the market we're in. Derek smiled condescendingly. With all due respect, Maya, market expansion is critical for our valuation. We can't stay in the small business space forever. Why not? I demanded. There are millions of small businesses. That's a huge market. It's a fragmented market with low willingness to pay, he countered. Enterprise clients have bigger budgets and longer contracts. It's basic economics. I looked at Sarah, waiting for her to back me up. She didn't. Derek makes some good points, she said carefully. We should at least explore the enterprise opportunity. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Over the next 6 months, I watched our company transform into something I didn't recognize. We hired consultants who'd never spoken to a single one of our actual clients. We changed our pricing model to be more competitive, which really meant more expensive. We redesigned the interface to look more professional, which really meant more complicated. Our small business clients started churning. It's natural attrition, Derek said in a board meeting. As we move up market, we'll lose some of the bottom-tier clients. That's expected. Bottom tier. He called them bottom tier. These were the people who'd believed in us when we were nobody. The bakery in Oakland. The bookstore in Portland. The coffee roaster in Austin. They'd trusted us with their businesses, and now we were abandoning them for bigger contracts and better margins. I fought it every step of the way. I argued in meetings. I pushed back on product decisions. I refused to sign off on features that I thought were wrong. And slowly, I started to notice that I was being cut out. Meetings would happen without me. Decisions would be made before I arrived. My emails would go unanswered for days. You're being difficult, Sarah told me one evening when I confronted her. We were alone in the office, everyone else had gone home. I'm being principled, I shot back. There's a difference. Is there? She looked tired. Because from where I'm sitting, you're blocking progress because you can't let go of the past. We're not in a garage anymore, Maya. We have investors to answer to. We have employees depending on us. We have a responsibility to grow. We have a responsibility to our clients, I said. To the people who actually use what we build. We can serve both. No, we can't. We're already failing the small businesses. Our support response time has tripled. Our new features are designed for enterprises we don't even have yet. We're chasing a market we don't understand while ignoring the market that made us. Sarah stood up. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you don't understand what it takes to build a real company. The words hung in the air like a slap. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're a brilliant developer, Maya. But you're not a CEO. You're not a business person. You want to keep us small and pure and perfect, but that's not how this works. We took investor money. We made commitments. We have to deliver. I never wanted the investor money, I said quietly. Well, you took it anyway. And now you have to live with the consequences. She grabbed her bag and walked out. I sat in that empty office for 3 hours, staring at my laptop screen, trying to figure out when exactly we'd lost our way. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't happen all at once. It's not a single moment. It's 1,000 small cuts, tiny erosions of trust that you don't notice until you're standing in the wreckage. Looking back now, I can see the signs. But at the time, I was too close to it. Too invested. Too loyal. Sarah started having lunches with the investors without telling me. She'd mention in passing that she'd grabbed coffee with Michael or had a quick call with Jennifer, and I'd think nothing of it. She started CCing Derek on emails that used to be just between us. She stopped asking for my opinion on hiring decisions. She stopped defending me in meetings when Derek or others would dismiss my concerns. Little by little, she was building a company without me. And I was too blind to see it. The final betrayal came 3 months ago. We'd just lost our biggest original client, the bakery in Oakland. They'd been with us since month 1, and they left because our new pricing structure was too expensive and our new interface was too complicated for their staff to learn. I was devastated. I sent Sarah a long email about how we needed to course correct, how we were losing sight of our mission, how we needed to create a tier of service for our original market. She replied with 2 sentences, "We'll discuss at the board meeting next week." Trust the process. The board meeting was brutal. I presented my case. I showed the churn data. I explained how we were alienating our core market. I proposed a 2-tier system. Enterprise features for enterprise clients, simplified features for small businesses. Derek shot it down immediately. We don't have the resources to maintain 2 separate product lines. We need to focus on our enterprise strategy. We're not even closing enterprise deals yet, I pointed out. We're abandoning a profitable market for a market we haven't proven we can compete in. That's a short-term view, Sarah's father said from the end of the table. He was an investor now, a board member, and he spoke with the authority of someone who'd built and sold 3 companies. You have to think about valuation. Enterprise SaaS companies trade at higher multiples. If you want to build a billion-dollar company, you need enterprise contracts. I don't want to build a billion-dollar company, I said, and the room went silent. I want to build a company that matters. That solves real problems for real people. Sarah's father smiled, the kind of smile you give a child who doesn't understand how the world works. That's very noble, Maya. But nobility doesn't pay back investor capital. I looked at Sarah, pleading silently for her to say something, to back me up, to remember why we started this in the first place. She stared at her notes. I think we need to trust Derek's expertise here, she said finally. He's done this before. He knows how to scale. Something broke inside me in that moment. After the meeting, I cornered Sarah in her office. What the hell was that? I demanded. That was business, she said without looking up from her computer. That was you choosing them over me. Over us. Over everything we built. Now she looked up. There is no us and them, Maya. We're all on the same team. Bullshit. You and your dad and Derek and the investors are on one team. I'm on another. And you just made it very clear which team you're on. What do you want me to say? She asked, and for the first time, I heard real frustration in her voice. You want me to torpedo our growth strategy because you're having some philosophical crisis about who we serve? We have 63 employees. We have responsibilities. We can't just do whatever we want anymore. We're the founders, I said. We can do exactly what we want. No, Maya. We're the founders, which means we have more responsibility, not less. We have to think bigger than just our own feelings. This isn't about my feelings. This is about our mission. Our values. The reason we started this company in the first place. Sarah stood up. Maybe the reason we started this company doesn't matter anymore. Maybe we need a new reason. One that's actually sustainable. I stared at her, this person I thought I knew better than anyone in the world. I don't even recognize you, I whispered. Good, she said. Because I'm not the scared 25-year-old who started this company in my parents' garage. I've grown. Maybe you should too. I walked out. I didn't speak to her for 2 weeks unless it was absolutely necessary for work. And then, 3 weeks later, I got the calendar invitation for the meeting that would end everything. I spent that night sitting on my apartment floor, surrounded by papers. My original employment contract. The LLC filing documents. 5 years of board meeting notes. Email threads. Pitch decks. Everything. I'm looking for a way out. A loophole. Something that will let me stay, let me fight, let me save what we built. But the truth is, Sarah was smarter than me. Or maybe just more careful. Or maybe her father, with his decades of experience, knew exactly how to structure things so that when the time came, she could push me out cleanly. The equity split, 51-49. She has final say. The board, 4 members, 3 of them in her pocket. My role, Chief Technology Officer, not CEO. At-will employment with a vague performance clause. I never saw it coming because I never thought I needed to protect myself from her. Around 2 a.m., my husband James comes into the living room. He's groggy, confused about why I'm not in bed. "Maya," he says softly. "What are you doing?" I look up at him, and something in my expression makes him immediately sit down next to me. "They're forcing me out," I say. My voice sounds hollow. "Sarah. The board. They're firing me from my own company." James doesn't say anything for a long moment. He just pulls me into his arms and lets me collapse against him. "Tell me everything," he finally says. So I do. I tell him about the meeting, the lawyers, the severance package, the 24-hour ultimatum. I tell him about the last 6 months of being sidelined and ignored and undermined. I tell him about watching our mission get corrupted, our values get compromised, our original clients get abandoned. When I'm done, he's quiet for a while. "What do you want to do?" he asks. "I don't know. If I don't sign, they'll fire me for cause. I'll lose my severance. I'll lose most of my equity. And they'll drag my name through the mud, make it look like I was the problem, like I wasn't performing, like I was holding the company back. And if you do sign?" Then I walk away. I take my 6-month salary and my 20% equity and I, what? Start over? At 30 years old? With a non-compete that prevents me from working in the only industry I know? James takes my hand. "You're asking the wrong question." "What do you mean?" "You're asking what you should do. But what you should be asking is, what can you live with? Can you live with walking away and letting Sarah turn your company into something you hate? Or can you live with fighting, even if you lose everything?" I close my eyes. The smart play is to sign. Take the money. Move on. Start something new in 2 years when the non-compete expires. Cut my losses. But I didn't build Lighthouse Technologies to make the smart play. I built it because I believed in something. I believed that small businesses deserved better tools. I believed that software should serve people, not the other way around. I believed that growth without purpose is just cancer. And maybe I'm being naive. Maybe Sarah is right and I can't see past the garage. Maybe I'm holding on to a vision that doesn't make sense anymore. But maybe I'm not. Maybe somewhere in all these documents and emails and contracts, there's something I've missed. Some leverage I haven't considered. I open my laptop. "What are you doing?" James asks. "Looking for a way to fight back." I start with the financials. Sarah and I both have access to the company's books, for now, at least. I download everything. 5 years of financial statements, investor reports, expense records. Then I go through the emails. Every single email between Sarah and the investors over the past year. Every board meeting summary. Every strategic planning document. I read until my eyes burn. Until the sun starts to come up. Until James falls asleep on the couch next to me and my coffee goes cold. And then I find it. It's buried in an email thread from 8 months ago. Sarah, her father, and 2 of the investors discussing succession planning. "We need to start transitioning Maya out of operational decision-making," her father wrote. *, she's too attached to the original vision. It's preventing us from making the moves we need to make for Series B. Sarah's response, agreed. "But we need to be careful. She owns 49%. We can't just force her out without cause." "We don't need cause," one of the investors wrote back. "We just need to make her position untenable. Bring in people above her. Route around her. Make it clear that her input isn't valued. Eventually, she'll either get in line or quit." And if she doesn't do either? Sarah asked. Then we manufacture cause. Document every disagreement. Frame her resistance as insubordination or poor performance. Build a paper trail. When the time comes, we'll have everything we need. Asterisk. I read the email chain 3 times, my hands shaking. They'd been planning this for 8 months. Every meeting I'd been excluded from, every decision made without me, every time Sarah had dismissed my concerns, it was all part of a deliberate strategy to push me out. And Sarah had gone along with it. Sarah, my best friend since we were 14. Sarah, who'd stood next to me at my wedding. Sarah, who I'd trusted with everything. She'd been systematically betraying me for 8 months, and I'd been too trusting to see it. But now I have proof. Proof that this isn't about performance. Proof that this is a coordinated effort to steal my company out from under me. The question is, what do I do with it? I call my lawyer at 9 a.m. His name is Richard, and he's handled our personal legal stuff for years, our wills, our house purchase, boring things. He's not a corporate attorney. But he's someone I trust, and right now, that matters more than expertise. Maya, he says when he picks up. It's early. What's wrong? I need you to look at something. Can I come to your office right now? An hour later, I'm sitting across from him, watching his expression change as he reads through the email chain I've printed out. Holy shit, he says finally. Is it enough? I ask. Can I use this? Richard leans back in his chair, thinking. It's evidence of conspiracy to breach fiduciary duty. As a co-founder and significant shareholder, Sarah and the board owe you a duty of good faith. This email chain shows premeditation to force you out for reasons unrelated to performance. That's potentially actionable. But corporate litigation is messy, expensive, and slow. Even if you have a strong case, it could take years to resolve. And in the meantime, you'd be frozen out of the company, burning through savings on legal fees. So what do I do? Richard taps his pen against the desk. You have leverage now. They don't know you have this email chain. You could go back to them and renegotiate. Push for better terms. More equity. A board seat. A guarantee of operational control over the product. You think they'd go for that? I think they'd want to avoid a lawsuit. Especially one that would require discovery. Who knows what else you'd find if you had subpoena power. I think about it. Going back to Sarah with evidence of her betrayal. Forcing her to give me concessions. Staying in a company where I'm clearly not wanted, fighting every day for control. It sounds exhausting. But it also sounds like justice. Set up a meeting, I tell Richard. With Sarah and her lawyers. Tell them I have information they need to see before I make any decisions about the severance package. He nods. I'll make the call. The meeting happens that afternoon. Same conference room. Same lawyers. Same Sarah, still not looking me in the eye. But this time, I'm not alone. Richard is next to me, and in front of me is a folder containing printouts of the email chain. Thank you for meeting on short notice, Richard begins. My client has some concerns about the termination process that we'd like to address before she signs anything. The female lawyer from yesterday, I've learned her name is Catherine, responds smoothly. As we discussed yesterday, the severance package is quite generous. We're not interested in renegotiating. I think you might be, I say quietly. I slide the folder across the table. Sarah's eyes flick to it, then to me. There's a question in her expression, maybe even a hint of fear. What is this? Catherine asks, opening the folder. Evidence that my client's termination is not based on performance concerns but rather on a coordinated effort to remove her from the company for disagreeing with strategic decisions. Which, as I'm sure you're aware, is a breach of fiduciary duty. I watch Catherine's face as she reads. She's good, her expression barely changes. But I see the slight tightening around her eyes. The way her jaw sets. She passes the emails to the other lawyer, who reads them silently. Sarah still hasn't looked at the documents. She's staring at me now, and I can see the calculations happening behind her eyes. Where did you get these? She asks. From my email account, I say. Which I'm entitled to access as an employee and co-founder. Everything in that folder was sent to my company email address or is stored on company servers that I have legal access to. Catherine sets the papers down carefully. This doesn't change anything. The board still has the right to restructure leadership as they see fit. Not when the restructuring is based on discriminatory reasons, Richard counters. My client's opposition to strategic decisions is not grounds for termination. It's the exercise of her fiduciary duty as a shareholder and board member. She's not a board member, Catherine points out. An oversight that this email chain suggests was deliberate, Richard says. Any reasonable person would expect the co-founder and 49% shareholder to have board representation. The fact that she doesn't, combined with this evidence of systematic exclusion, paints a very clear picture of bad faith dealing. The room is silent. I watch Sarah. She's pale now, her hands gripping the edge of the table. What do you want? She asks quietly. It's the first real question she's asked me in months. I take a breath. I want what I built. I want operational control over product development. I want a board seat. And I want to keep my 49% equity with full voting rights. That's not reasonable, Catherine starts, but Sarah holds up a hand. Give us a minute, Sarah says to the lawyers. They exchange glances but stand up and leave the room. Richard looks at me, and I nod. He leaves too. It's just me and Sarah now. In the conference room I designed. In the company we built together. You can't win this fight, she says. Maybe not, I admit. But I can make it very expensive for you. I can drag this out for years. I can make sure every investor, every employee, every potential client knows exactly what you did. I can turn Lighthouse Technologies into a cautionary tale about founder betrayal. You'd destroy the company? You already did that, I say. You destroyed what we built the moment you decided I was expendable. Sarah's composure finally cracks. I didn't want this, Maya. I didn't want to push you out. But you wouldn't listen. You wouldn't adapt. You were so stubborn about keeping things the way they were, and we needed to evolve. So you decided to get rid of me instead of actually talking to me about it? I tried talking to you. 4 months. And every conversation ended with you dismissing everything I said, telling me I'd sold out, telling me I'd forgotten why we started this. Because you had. My voice is rising now, years of frustration pouring out. You did sell out, Sarah. You let your father and those investors convince you that profit is more important than purpose. That enterprise contracts matter more than the people we promised to help. That's easy for you to say, she shoots back. You don't have to answer to the board. You don't have to justify every decision to investors who can pull their funding if they don't like our numbers. You get to sit in your developer bubble and judge everyone else for making the hard choices you refuse to acknowledge exist. The hard choice is staying true to what we believe in even when it's not the most profitable path. That's what takes courage. What you did, following the money, abandoning our principles, that's the easy choice. That's what everyone does. Sarah laughs bitterly. You think I took the easy path? You think any of this has been easy? I've worked 90-hour weeks for 5 years. I've pitched to investors who talked to my chest instead of my face. I've fought to be taken seriously in every single room I walk into. And I've done it while trying to protect you, to shield you from all of it so you could just focus on building. And now you're sitting here telling me I'm a sellout? You didn't protect me, I say quietly. You excluded me. There's a difference. She closes her eyes. When she opens them, they're wet. I don't know how to fix this, she whispers. You could start by being honest. Did you ever actually value our partnership? Or was I always just the technical co-founder you'd eventually replace? Of course I valued it. I valued you. You're my best friend, Maya. I correct her. I was your best friend. Past tense. The tears spill over now, running down her cheeks. Don't say that. You fired me, Sarah. You conspired with investors to systematically push me out of my own company. You can't do that to someone and still call them your friend. I thought it was for the best, she says, her voice breaking. I thought if I could just get you to step away from operations, you'd be happier. You hate the business side anyway. You've always hated it. I thought I was freeing you to focus on what you love. By taking away my company? By cutting my equity to 20% and forcing me to sign a non-compete? That was you trying to free me? She doesn't have an answer to that. We sit in silence for a long moment. I can't give you full operational control, Sarah says finally. The investors won't allow it. We've already committed to the enterprise strategy. Then we're done here. I start to stand up, but she reaches across the table, grabbing my wrist. Wait, she says desperately. Please. There has to be a middle ground. There isn't. Either I have control over the product or I don't. Either I'm a real co-founder with real power or I'm just an employee you can discard when I'm inconvenient. There's no middle ground in that. Sarah pulls her hand back, wiping at her tears. If you push this, it's going to get ugly, she says. The lawyers will fight you on everything. They'll drag your name through the mud. They'll make you look like the problem. Let them try, I say. I've got emails showing premeditation. I've got evidence of systematic exclusion. And I've got nothing left to lose. Can you say the same? She stares at me for a long moment. Then she does something I don't expect. She laughs. It's not a happy laugh. It's the laugh of someone who's just realized they've lost. You're really going to do this, she says. You're really going to burn it all down. If that's what it takes. Sarah nods slowly. Okay. Okay. I'll talk to the board. I'll see what I can do. I don't want you to see what you can do, I say. I want you to fight for me. The way I would have fought for you. The way I thought we always fought for each other. She doesn't respond. I stand up and walk toward the door. Maya, she calls out when my hand is on the handle. I turn back. I'm sorry, she says. For all of it. I really am. I want to believe her. Part of me, the part that remembers staying up until dawn talking about dreams, the part that remembers holding her hand through breakups and failures and triumphs, desperately wants to believe her. But sorry isn't enough. I know, I say. And I walk out. The next week is a blur of lawyers and phone calls and negotiations that feel more like hostage situations than business discussions. Richard earns every penny of his fee. He's a bulldog, pushing back on every attempt to lowball me, every clause designed to strip me of power, every concession they demand in exchange for basic fairness. The board wants me to accept a chief technology advisor role, a title with no authority, no decision-making power, just a nameplate to keep investors happy. I refuse. They offer to increase my severance to 9 months and bump my equity vesting to 30% if I agree to a longer non-compete, 3 years instead of 2. I refuse. They threaten to tie me up in litigation for years, to make sure I spend every dollar of my savings on legal fees. I tell them to go ahead. I've already prepared James for the possibility that we might lose everything. He's behind me completely. We'll figure it out, he said. We always do. What the board doesn't know, what I'm counting on, is that they can't afford a public battle any more than I can. They're in the middle of Series B fundraising. They need the narrative to be clean, brilliant female co-founders building a rocket ship, not messy founder disputes and potential lawsuits. Every day they fight me is a day they can't close their funding round. So I wait them out. I show up to the office every day, even though I have nothing to do. I sit at my desk, I respond to emails, I smile politely at the employees who whisper about what's happening. Derek tries to ignore me. When we pass in the hallway, he looks through me like I'm a ghost. Sarah avoids me entirely. I hear through the grapevine that she's working from home most days. But I also hear other things. I hear that two of our original developers, people I hired, people who came to Lighthouse because they believed in the mission, have started asking questions about the direction of the company. I hear that our customer churn rate has accelerated. Turns out abandoning your core market has consequences. I hear that the Series B negotiations aren't going as smoothly as planned. Investors are asking hard questions about our retention metrics, our pivot strategy, our leadership stability. On day 8, Catherine calls Richard. They want to meet. This time, there are more people in the room. Sarah's father is there, imposing in his expensive suit. The two main investors, Michael and Jennifer, are there via video conference. Derek is there, looking uncomfortable. And Sarah is there, sitting at the head of the table like this is her boardroom. I suppose it is, technically. But I built this company. And I'm done being treated like a visitor in my own house. Thank you for coming, Michael says from the screen. He's in his 60s, silver-haired, with the kind of voice that's used to being obeyed. We've discussed your concerns at length, and we'd like to propose a resolution. I'm listening, I say. We're prepared to offer you a position as Chief Product Officer with full authority over product development and engineering. You'll report directly to the CEO, Sarah, but you'll have final say on all product decisions within budget constraints. It's more than they've offered before. But it's not enough. Board seat? I ask. Michael and Jennifer exchange glances on the screen. We can create an observer seat, Jennifer offers. You'll attend all board meetings and have full access to board materials, but you won't have voting rights. So I can watch decisions being made, but I can't actually make them. You'll have voting rights as a shareholder, Sarah's father interjects. An observer seat is quite common for non-executive co-founders. I'm not a non-executive co-founder. I built this company from nothing. And we're acknowledging that, Sarah says, speaking for the first time. The CPO role is a C-suite position with significant authority. You'll control the product roadmap. You'll have your own budget. You'll have final say on all technical hires. Within budget constraints you control, I point out. And subject to strategic direction set by a board I'm not on. Sarah, this is just a more elaborate cage. It's a compromise, she says. We all have to give something up. What are you giving up? I ask. You're still CEO. You still control the board. You still get to make all the final decisions. I'm the only one being asked to compromise. You get to keep your equity, Michael says sharply. You're full 49%, fully vested. Do you understand how rare that is? Most founders in your position would be forced out with nothing. Most founders in my position didn't build the actual product that the company sells. This is our final offer, Catherine says, sliding a document across the table. We need an answer by close of business today. I look at the document. Then I look at Sarah. She's watching me with an expression I can't quite read. Sadness? Regret? Relief that this might finally be over? Can I have the room? I ask. Just me and Sarah. The lawyers bristle, but Sarah nods. 5 minutes, she says. Everyone files out. The video screens go dark. And then it's just us again. The two girls who started a company in a garage with $3,000 and a dream. Do you remember the first time we got hate mail? I ask. Sarah blinks, surprised by the question. What? It was month 3. Someone sent us an email calling our software amateur garbage made by women who should stick to making sandwiches. You wanted to ignore it, but I insisted we respond. We spent 4 hours crafting a reply that was professional but also made it clear we weren't going to be bullied. Do you remember what we said at the end? Sarah's eyes are distant, remembering. We started this company because we believe small businesses deserve better. And we're not going anywhere. Yeah, I say softly. We're not going anywhere. That was our promise. To each other and to our clients. We were going to build something that mattered, and we weren't going to let anyone push us out of it. Maya. Do you still believe that? Or was that just something we said when we were young and stupid? Sarah's quiet for a long moment. I believe we built something that matters, she says finally. I just think what matters has changed. We're not two girls in a garage anymore. We have employees. We have responsibilities. We have investors who believed in us. They believed in what we built. Not in whatever this is becoming. You don't know that. You haven't sat in the investor meetings. You haven't heard how excited they are about our enterprise potential. I've heard how disappointed our original clients are. I've read the support tickets. I've seen the churn numbers. We're losing the people who made us, Sarah. And we're losing them because we decided they weren't valuable enough. Sarah stands up abruptly, pacing to the window. What do you want me to say? She asks, her back to me. That I made mistakes? That I wish things were different? Fine. I'll say it. But it doesn't change anything. We can't go back. We can only go forward. Then let's go forward together. Really together. Give me the board seat. Give me real power. Let's fight about strategy in the boardroom like partners, not like a CEO managing a difficult employee. She turns around. I can't. The investors won't allow it. The investors don't own this company. We do. Collectively, you and I have controlling interest. We could tell them to fuck off if we wanted to. And they could pull their funding. They could tank our valuation. They could make it impossible for us to raise Series B. So what? I stand up too, facing her. So what if we don't raise Series B? We're profitable. We could grow slowly, organically, the way we were always meant to. We don't need their money. Yes, we do, Sarah says urgently. Maya, we're competing with companies that have hundreds of millions in funding. If we don't scale fast, we'll be crushed. This isn't the early days anymore. We can't just bootstrap our way to success. Why not? What's wrong with being a smaller, sustainable company that actually serves its clients well instead of a bloated unicorn that's forgotten why it exists? Because smaller doesn't matter. Sarah's voice cracks. Because my dad built 3 companies and sold them for a combined $500 million, and I have to at least match that or I'm a failure. Because Michael and Jennifer and all the other investors took a bet on me, on us, and I owe them a return. Because I'm a woman in tech and if I can't build something massive, I'm proving right every asshole who said women can't scale companies. The room goes quiet. I've never heard her say any of this before. Never heard the pressure she's been under, the expectations, the fear of failure. Sarah, I say softly. You don't have to prove anything to them. Yes, I do, she whispers. You don't understand. You never had to prove anything. You're brilliant. Everyone knows it. You write code like you're breathing. People respect you just for being good at what you do. That's not true. It is true. You don't need credentials or connections or a pedigree. You have talent. I have my dad's money and my MBA and the ability to smile in the right rooms. And if I can't turn that into something extraordinary, then what am I? I stare at her, seeing for the first time the insecurity driving everything. The need to prove herself. The fear that without massive success, she's nothing. You're my best friend, I say. Or at least you were. You're the person who believed in me when no one else did. You're the one who convinced me we could actually do this. You're brilliant at what you do, Sarah. You don't need to build $1 billion company to prove that. She shakes her head. You don't get it. Then help me get it. Talk to me. Actually talk to me, the way we used to. Not as CEO to CPO or founder to founder, but as friends. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you're afraid of. And let me do the same. For a moment, I think she might. I see her soften, see the walls start to come down. Then she straightens, pulling herself together. We're out of time, she says, her voice back to business mode. You need to decide. Take the CPO role or don't. But decide. And just like that, the moment's gone. I look at her, this stranger wearing my best friend's face. I'll take the role, I say finally. But not because I think it's fair. And not because I forgive you. I'm taking it because someone needs to protect what we built from what you're trying to turn it into. Something flickers in her expression. Pain, maybe. Okay, she says. And Sarah? This isn't over. I'm going to fight you on every decision that betrays our original mission. I'm going to make your life difficult. I'm going to be the voice in every meeting reminding everyone why we started this company. You want me as CPO? Fine. But you're getting all of me, not just the parts that are convenient. She almost smiles. I wouldn't expect anything less. I signed the papers that afternoon. Chief Product Officer. Full authority over product and engineering. Observer seat on the board. 49% equity, fully vested, with no restrictions. It's not what I wanted. But it's enough to fight from. Richard reviews every page before I sign. You're sure about this? He asks. No, I admit. But I'm sure I can't walk away. Not yet. Then make them earn their victory, he says. Don't make it easy. I don't plan to. My first act as CPO is to schedule a meeting with every single one of our original clients who's churned in the past year. I want to hear their stories. I want to understand exactly what we broke when we decided to move up market. Derek tries to block it. That's not a good use of your time, he says in a product meeting. Those clients are gone. We should focus on the future, not the past. Those clients are the foundation this company was built on, I counter. And understanding why they left is essential to making sure we don't lose more. Unless you think customer retention isn't important? He can't argue with that, not in front of the whole team. I conduct 18 interviews over the next 2 weeks. Bakery owners, boutique managers, coffee roasters, bookstore operators. The people we promised to serve. Every single one tells me the same story. We got too expensive, too complicated, too corporate. The simplicity that made us special disappeared. The personal touch we used to have, the fast customer service, the willingness to build features they needed, the feeling that someone actually cared about their business, all gone. It felt like you got too big for us, one restaurant owner tells me. Like you didn't need us anymore. I compile everything into a report. 43 pages of direct feedback, usage data, churn analysis, and recommendations. The core finding. We're hemorrhaging our original market at an accelerating rate, and our enterprise sales aren't growing fast enough to compensate. At our current trajectory, we'll miss our revenue targets by 30% within 6 months. I present it at the next board meeting. Sarah's father dismisses it immediately. This is backward-looking analysis. We're in transition. Of course we're going to have some churn from the low-end market. That's expected. It's not low-end, I say evenly. It's our core market. And we're not in transition, we're in free fall. We've lost 34% of our original client base in 12 months. That's not a transition. That's a crisis. The enterprise deals will more than make up for it, Derek insists. We're in late-stage negotiations with 3 Fortune 500 companies right now. How late stage? I ask. He hesitates. We're in procurement. Could close any day. Could close or will close? These things take time. How long have we been in procurement? Another hesitation. 4 months for the earliest one. 4 months in procurement for a contract that would only replace the revenue from 10 of the clients we've lost. And we've lost 200. Can you see the problem here? Michael jumps in from the screen. Maya, we appreciate the analysis, but Derek is right. Enterprise sales cycles are long. We knew that going in. We can't panic just because the numbers look soft in the short term. This isn't short-term volatility, I argue. This is structural failure. We built a product for small businesses and we were excellent at it. Now we're trying to compete in enterprise, where we have no brand recognition, no case studies, no competitive advantage. We're a nobody trying to sell to companies that have their pick of established vendors. Which is why we need to invest more in sales and marketing, Jennifer says. We've already approved an expanded budget for Derek's team. Throwing money at sales won't fix a product-market fit problem, I say. We're trying to sell the wrong product to the wrong market while abandoning the right market where we actually had traction. Sarah's been silent throughout this exchange. Now she speaks up. What are you proposing, Maya? I pull out a second document. I've been working on this for 3 days, barely sleeping, running numbers until my eyes blurred. We split the product, I say. We create Lighthouse Classic, our original platform, simplified, optimized for small businesses, priced accessibly. And we create Lighthouse Enterprise with all the bells and whistles Derek wants. 2 products, 2 markets, 2 sales motions. We already discussed this, Derek says impatiently. We don't have the resources to maintain 2 separate products. We do if we're smart about it, I counter. 90% of the codebase is identical. The difference is in the UI layer and some advanced features. I've already mapped out the technical architecture. We could have Lighthouse Classic in market within 8 weeks. And who would build it? Derek demands. Your team is already stretched thin with our enterprise roadmap. Then we deprioritize some of the enterprise features that aren't actually closed deals yet, I say. We focus on keeping the revenue we have instead of chasing revenue we might never get. The room erupts in argument. Derek and the investors are adamantly opposed. Sarah's father is shaking his head. Even Sarah looks skeptical. But I notice something, Sarah's not arguing. She's listening. Let me run a pilot, I say when the arguing dies down. Give me 2 developers and 8 weeks. Let me build Lighthouse Classic, let me reach out to churned clients, let me prove it can work. If it fails, I'll drop it and focus entirely on enterprise. But if it succeeds, you'll have proven our entire strategy wrong, Sarah's father says bluntly. That's what this is really about, isn't it? You want to prove we made a mistake. I want to save this company, I say, looking directly at him. I don't care about being right. I care about not failing. Sarah's father leans back, his expression unreadable. 2 developers, Sarah says suddenly. 8 weeks. But you hit specific milestones or we shut it down. And you can't let it interfere with the enterprise roadmap. Derek looks at her, shocked. Sarah. It's a reasonable pilot, she says. Low risk, high potential upside. If Maya's wrong, we'll know in 8 weeks and we can move on. If she's right. She trails off, but I hear what she's not saying. If I'm right, we might actually survive. The board grudgingly approves it. As everyone files out, Sarah catches my arm. Don't make me regret this, she says quietly. I won't. I pick my team carefully. 2 of the original developers, the ones who've been at Lighthouse since the early days. They understand the mission. They remember what we were trying to build. We work like we did in the beginning. Late nights, pizza, intense focus. No bureaucracy, no approval processes, just building. I strip away everything that doesn't serve our core users. Every complicated feature, every enterprise-focused workflow, every bit of bloat we've added over the years. What's left is clean, simple, fast. The product we should have been building all along. I rebuild the pricing model from scratch. Instead of trying to maximize revenue per client, I optimize for accessibility. $49 per month for most small businesses. No hidden fees, no surprise charges, no annual commitments. And I reach out personally to every single churned client. Most don't respond. Some are angry, why should they give us another chance after we abandoned them? But some are willing to listen. Is this really going to be different? Asks Maria, the owner of the Oakland bakery. Or is this just a marketing ploy? It's going to be different, I promise her. This is the product we should have given you all along. No enterprise features you don't need. No complicated workflows. Just simple tools to run your business. And when you decide to chase enterprise customers again, then Lighthouse Classic stays exactly as it is. I'm building this to be sustainable on its own, not dependent on enterprise revenue. She's quiet for a moment. Then, okay. I'll try it for 3 months. But Maya? If you screw me again, I'm done. And I'll make sure every small business owner I know hears about it. Deal. By week 4, we have 15 beta testers. Former clients willing to give us another chance. By week 6, we have 30, and the feedback is glowing. By week 8, we have a product ready to launch and 50 businesses waiting to sign up. I present the results at the board meeting. Beta testers report an average satisfaction score of 9.2 out of 10, I report. Compared to our current enterprise product which sits at 6.8. Time to value, how quickly a new client can get up and running, is down from 6 days to 4 hours. Support ticket volume per client is down 70% because the product is intuitive enough that they don't need help. What's the revenue impact? Michael asks skeptically. If we convert just 40% of our churned clients back, we'd add $180,000 in monthly recurring revenue. That's conservative, I think we can do better. More importantly, these clients have extremely high retention. Once they're happy, they stay for years. Our original cohort had a 94% year 3 retention rate. $180,000 a month isn't going to move the needle, Jennifer says. We need bigger wins. This isn't instead of enterprise, I counter. This is in addition to it. And $180,000 a month is $2.1 million annually. From a product that took 8 weeks and 2 developers to build. That's an exceptional ROI. I can see Sarah doing the math in her head. What about brand confusion? Derek asks. Having 2 products with the same name could muddy our positioning. Or it could give us flexibility, Sarah says thoughtfully. We can pitch Lighthouse Classic to small businesses and Lighthouse Enterprise to corporations. Different products for different markets, but both under the same brand umbrella. Derek looks like he wants to argue, but Sarah's already made up her mind. I want to move forward with a limited launch, she announces. Maya, you'll handle Lighthouse Classic. Derek, you focus on Enterprise. We'll run them in parallel for 6 months and evaluate performance. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement, but it's enough. Lighthouse Classic launches quietly 3 weeks later. Within the first month, we sign up 120 clients. 82 of them are returning customers who'd left when we pivoted to Enterprise. The rest are new, referred by existing clients. Month 2, 210 new clients. Month 3, 340 new clients. The growth is steady, organic, real. No expensive sales teams, no complex marketing campaigns. Just a product that works and clients who tell their friends. Meanwhile, Derek's enterprise deals keep stalling in procurement. One falls through entirely when the prospect decides to go with Salesforce instead. Another gets put on hold due to budget cuts. At the 6-month review, the numbers are stark. Lighthouse Classic, 1,847 clients, $91,000 in monthly recurring revenue, 96% satisfaction rate, 2% churn. Lighthouse Enterprise, for clients, $83,000 in monthly recurring revenue, 74% satisfaction rate, 25% churn. The enterprise clients are worth more per contract, Derek argues desperately. And we're still building the pipeline. The enterprise clients are also costing us more to acquire and support, I counter. And they churn at 12 times the rate. Lighthouse Classic might have smaller contracts, but the unit economics are far superior. Sarah's looking at the numbers, her expression unreadable. The board will want to continue pursuing enterprise, her father says. The market multiples are higher. The market multiples are higher for companies that successfully execute an enterprise strategy, I say. We've been trying for 18 months and we have 4 clients. How long do we keep pretending this is working? Maya's right. Everyone turns to look at Sarah. Derek, I appreciate everything you've done, she continues. But the data is clear. We're not winning in enterprise. We might eventually, but we can't afford to keep bleeding money while we figure it out. Derek's face goes red. You're going to abandon the entire strategy because of 6 months of data? I'm going to acknowledge reality, Sarah says firmly. And the reality is that Maya's product is working and ours isn't. We should double down on what's working. It's the first time in over a year that Sarah has sided with me against Derek. Something shifts in the room. The next 3 months are a whirlwind. We don't abandon enterprise entirely. We keep supporting our existing clients and taking meetings with prospects. But we stop trying to force it. We stop building enterprise-only features that our core clients don't need. Instead, we invest in Lighthouse Classic. We hire customer support staff who actually understand small businesses. We build integrations with the tools our clients use. We create content that helps them run their businesses better. And we grow. Month 9, 3,200 clients. Month 12, 5,800 clients. We're not a unicorn. We're not going to be on the cover of TechCrunch as the next billion-dollar company. But we're profitable. We're growing. And our clients love us. The board finally admits what I've known all along. We tried to be something we're not, and it almost destroyed us. Derek leaves. He gets a job at an actual enterprise software company where his skills are a better fit. I don't think he ever understood what we were building, and that's okay. Not everyone has to. More surprising is what happens with the investors. Michael and Jennifer sell their stakes. They're polite about it, they say they're rebalancing their portfolio and that they're confident in Lighthouse's future, but the truth is obvious, we're not the rocket ship they wanted us to be. Sarah's father stays on the board, but he's less involved. Maybe he's finally realized his daughter doesn't need to build a billion-dollar company to prove herself. Or maybe he's just tired of fighting. And slowly, gradually, Sarah and I start to find our way back to each other. It doesn't happen all at once. There's too much hurt, too much betrayal. We're polite in meetings. We're professional. We don't hang out after work or text about non-work things. But we start to listen to each other again. When I propose a new feature, she doesn't automatically defer to someone else's opinion. When she raises a strategic concern, I don't dismiss it as selling out. We argue, sometimes heatedly. But we argue like partners, not enemies. One night, 8 months after Lighthouse Classic launched, we're both working late. It's just the two of us in the office, like the old days. Hey Maya? Sarah calls from her office. I walk over. She's staring at her computer screen, a spreadsheet of metrics. Look at this, she says, turning the screen so I can see. It's our customer satisfaction scores over time. There's a clear inflection point. Right when Lighthouse Classic launched. Everything before that point is declining. Everything after is climbing. We almost lost this, she says quietly. If you hadn't fought me. You gave me the chance to prove it, I point out. You could have shut down the pilot. You could have sided with Derek and your dad and the investors. But you didn't. I wanted to, she admits. Part of me wanted you to fail so I could be right about the enterprise strategy. How fucked up is that? Pretty fucked up, I agree. But human. She laughs, a real laugh. When did you become so understanding? When I realized that you were just as scared as I was. Just scared of different things. Sarah turns to face me. I'm sorry, Maya. For everything. For listening to my dad instead of you. For letting the investors convince me that bigger was better. For trying to push you out instead of actually working through our disagreements. I'm sorry too, I say. For being so rigid. For not understanding the pressure you were under. For thinking my way was the only right way. Was it though? She asks. Your way, I mean. Was it the only right way? I think about it. No. But it was the right way for us. For this company. For what we were trying to build. She nods slowly. I think I forgot that somewhere along the way. What we were trying to build. I got so caught up in what everyone else thought we should build that I lost sight of what we actually wanted. So what do you want now? I ask. Now that we're not chasing unicorn status? Sarah smiles. I want to build something I'm proud of. Something that actually helps people. Something that doesn't keep me up at night worried that we're selling our souls for growth metrics. I think we can do that. Yeah, she says. I think we can too. 2 years later, Lighthouse Technologies has 12,000 clients across all 50 states and 12 countries. We're not the biggest player in our space. We're probably not even in the top 10. But we're profitable, sustainable, and our clients genuinely love us. We have a 97% satisfaction rate and 98% retention. When small business owners talk about software that actually makes their lives easier, they mention us. We never did raise our Series B. We didn't need to. We never did hire that fancy COO from Google. We promoted from within, someone who understood our culture and our clients. We never did become a billion-dollar company. And that's okay. Sarah and I are still co-founders. We still argue about strategy. We still disagree about priorities. But we disagree as partners. As equals. As friends who've been through hell together and came out the other side. One Thursday night, she texts me, "Drinks at the Lighthouse?" I smile. We haven't been to that dingy bar since the early days. See you there in 20, I reply. When I arrive, she's already claimed our old booth, 2 gin and tonics on the table. To surviving our own success, she says, raising her glass. And to building something that actually matters, I add. We clink glasses. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I'd just signed the severance package? I ask. If I'd walked away? Sarah considers this. Sometimes. You'd probably have started a competitor and crushed us. I laugh. Maybe. Or maybe I would have just gotten a job somewhere and been miserable. No way, Sarah says. You're too stubborn to be an employee. You'd have built something new within a year. And you'd have run Lighthouse into the ground chasing enterprise contracts you'd never close. Probably, she admits. Derek's strategy was never going to work. We both know that now. We sit in comfortable silence for a moment. I'm glad you fought, Sarah says finally. I'm glad you didn't just walk away. Even though I tried to make you. I'm glad you eventually listened, I counter. Even though it took you way too long. She grins. Some of us are slower learners than others. Some of us, I say pointedly, were too stubborn to admit when we were wrong. Touché. My phone buzzes. It's a notification from our customer support system. Another 5-star review, this one from a bakery owner in Portland who says we've transformed how she runs her business. I show it to Sarah. She reads it and smiles. This is why we did it, right? This is what it was always supposed to be about. Yeah, I say. This is exactly what it was supposed to be about. We order another round. The bar is still dingy. The lighting is still terrible. The beer is still cheap. But we're here. Together. Building something that matters. And that's worth more than any unicorn valuation could ever be.